Well, welcome everybody. This is Terry Palma along with Royse and Beverly. Unfortunately, Donna won't be with us tonight, but hopefully she'll join us next time. So welcome to our 26th episode of Conscious Gatherers. Bev, you had something on that. It's our 26th episode, and what's the date today?
It's 10/6/20.
There you go. So there's no coincidence in anything, right? So tonight,
yeah, right.
We've got a great podcast for you, bringing you some new information, sharing information that we receive. And again, as always, if there's any callers that come in and call in and you want to ask us live any questions, you're welcome to. And you can always respond in our YouTube channel when we post it and send it out, Conscious Gatherers. You can comment in there too. So, Bev and Royse, what do you have in store for us this evening?
Well, good evening, and welcome, everybody. We're going to go start talking about a little bit of what we received in last week's meditation. We have talked about this in past episodes where our panel will meditate together, and then things come up, and then other times they come up too. But I'm going to start off there because the words I received when we went into meditation last week is, you perceive what you believe, yet you expand. So we're here to widen your perceptions of yourself, ourselves, what's going on in this earth right now, what has gone on, all of that, because we are waking up to who we really are. Again, we talked about this so many times, but it just, we're going to keep going with this because we're going to be sharing more information that has come to us. And Royse is going to share some, after a while, some information that came through her. And we feel it's important to share that tonight. A couple other things we talked about last week that I received is be kind to yourselves. And I'm thinking, are you talking to us? And it's like, yeah. So, and that means all of us. And so many of us are compassionate, so compassionate that sometimes we leave ourselves a little behind because we want to help somebody else. And it's like, why are we doing this? Are we happy doing this? Does it really serve us? In some ways it serves us because we feel that we're helping another. But if I'm going to use the word sacrifice, and I usually don't like to use that word, if we're sacrificing ourselves to help somebody else, that doesn't work at all. And you can sometimes take on somebody else's energy, and I did hear a story on that this week, but I won't go through it because it's somebody else's business. But, she wanted to help out, and then this energy went into her that was a lot of anxiety, and she didn't know what to do with it. That's all I'm going to say on that. But understand, when you do that, be kind to yourselves first, because the more that you are within yourself and you're centered, the better you are. That's really not the right word. The more you will help others. So help yourself, be kind to yourselves. So all of us remember that. Be kind to yourself. All right. I had channeled a writing, and I sent it out to my subscriber list. It's not on our YouTube page. I don't think we can really do that unless I read it. But if anybody wants this that's listening to this podcast, then let me know, and I can send it to them or subscribe somehow or send me a note. You can leave a message either on our YouTube or there's a number that you can call to leave a message. And Terry, while we're talking about that, do you have that number handy? Telephone number? All right. Well, all right. We'll wait for that. All right, the article I wrote is called It's Time. And then I had questions on the light bombs, which we mentioned 2 weeks ago, and glitches. That's glitches in the matrix. So I'm going to just share a little bit of that, and then this will go from there. The first thing I received on this latest channeling, it's dated October the 2nd, so it's just a few days ago. It says, it's time. It's like, what does this mean? And it can mean a number of things, which we will discuss here, like in this writing. It says, once upon a time there was a thought, and the thought became a reality. Or did it? You all are a thought. Does this puzzle you? Does this mean you're not real? No. You definitely are real. So this is what we've been discussing in all of our podcasts. So our thoughts become things, including our bodies, our activities within our bodies, and all that we see around us. Are they real? Yes. Everything is real because of our thoughts. So let's look at the word thoughts. Are they within us in that which you call your brains? And are they also within that which you call your hearts? Many of us are beginning to realize that our thoughts come into our heart area. We talked about this because there's that small portion, or some people call it a brain, that's really next to the heart or part of the heart. I'm really not quite sure how that is stated, but there's quite a few studies on that. And
would that be the thymus?
I don't know. I don't think so, but I'm not sure. And I'm trying to think of the person. There's a couple doctors that have put this information out, and I'm trying to think of their names. If I do, I'll let you know who they are. Okay, so the basics of being in our bodies is to develop ourselves or consciousness into that which we perceive as reality of living on your earth plane. It is all about understanding and experiencing different aspects of ourselves or of self. And many of us that reside outside the physicality of the earth plane are amazed how this project has worked out. We've talked about being the project of the Great Experiment, and I believe that's what they're discussing here. So remember, all reality is in the moment, even though we reside in different timelines. What we experience as past, present, and future. So we will know how we experience our manifestations. And so it's really just a general who are we, and really realizing what we are. So what I was told, it says we understand the processes, and it's time for you, I'm reading this part, to fully understand how your actions through your self-consciousness affects your all, and therefore all. So he said you currently are breaking down the old programs, those that have kept you in captivity. Oh, really? We're masking ourselves now. That's a whole other subject. Well, kind of. Maybe not. More is being revealed to you in the world, and what you call your small space of being is affecting the all. The importance of this moment is to truly understand that you play an intricate part. All conscious bodies affect the all, and what many of you refer to those who you feel are unconscious, they also affect the all. You all are consciousness. This word consciousness has been used in many ways. In fact, we talked about some of this last week. Now you can understand that you all play an important role in what you see as your reality. So this reality is opening much like a lotus. It is revealing the true you. Love it, and you will witness within a most wonderful transformation. As you have noticed, this year 2020 has been most unusual. Yeah, right. And it shall continue as this finale takes place. They said, take a bow if you wish. Like, what? Yes, please take a bow. You have been most courageous to navigate these changes. So right now, many of us are, or we all are, we're witnessing eye-opening events. And as a collective, we all put this into place. So they had said, in this article, they said, we are not saying all that you are experiencing in this 2020 will soon go away. It depends on all of you to open up. Yeah, some of us will wish to remain closed and will not see what others who are open see. That is okay because that is what they wish to experience as part of their all. However, there's enough of you who are opening to bring about amazing changes on this earth plane. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about speaking up and sharing. That's exactly what we're doing. And if you've noticed, the paradigm way it's playing out is these so-called guilt trips. Like, oh, you're not self-quarantining. You're not staying 6 feet away. You're not wearing a mask. And I'm not saying not being respectful or following the law in a store or whatever. If that's what a store asks, then I respect that and will wear a mask or whatever is asked of me. But there are those that try to make this a guilt trip. And you can see this playing out in the political arena.
Manipulation in the news.
Yeah, a lot of manipulation in the news. So it's you can see the controls that are still trying to control us, and they're starting to falter, and we're seeing the demise of all that. So, anyways, that's what I want to share so far. And Royse, I know you have something that came to you, and I would love for you to share that.
Okay. I'll explain how this came about. I do digital artwork, and quite often the pieces that I create have information that go along with them. Even the wording of the title of the work will mean something very specific to current events and even events that are soon to come about. It's like they're being foretold in my artwork. And so that's where I'm getting this information from. I had created 2 pieces of art, and I was telling Bev about these over the telephone. And I knew that the pieces were named Peru and Yaru. And I had no idea what these words meant. I just knew that that's what these 2 pieces were called. And I also knew that they pertain to the fulfillment of a Peruvian prophecy. And I told Bev, I don't know any Peruvian prophecies. And Bev said, well, what do those words mean? And I said, I have no idea. And she said, well, it'll come to you. And immediately the information started coming to me. And I was amazed to see how this fits together with Bev's channeling that she just read to you, especially pertaining to all conscious bodies affect the all, and timelines of past, present, and future. And what happens depends upon all of us opening up. And so this is what I got on the word Peru, which was one of the pieces of art. Many have come to see the end, which is the beginning, and all rejoice at the hastening of its arrival. Now, I don't know about you, but that seeing that many have come to see the end, which is the beginning, it at first kind of almost shook me up a little bit, but then it filled me with a great sense of peace and excitement for our future, for the unfolding of whatever it is that's going to take place. And then came the meaning of the word Yaru, and that is, to all the nations built upon the stars of the heavens, he has come to shed light upon the past, the present, and the future. Now, let me read that again. To all the nations built upon the stars of the heavens. This is talking about the nations on the planet Earth, which have been greatly affected and from those from other places, the stars of the heavens. He has come to shed light upon the past, the present, and the future. Now, who is this he that they're referring to? In my internal knowingness, it came across very strongly as our president, President Trump. And it does not matter what you may think of the man, what your beliefs are about what he's doing. He is, nevertheless, a great facilitator. All of us are facilitators, just like Bev was making reference to. All conscious bodies affect the all. He is having a great effect upon what is going on the planet Earth. He is facilitating this unfoldment of something that has the capability of being quite beautiful, quite wonderful. All we have to do is to open up, like Bev said with her channeling, depends upon all of us to open up. So that's what I have to say about that.
Thank you. I find that quite interesting. I remember when she got it because I'm looking up prophecies on the computer, et cetera, and it is a Peruvian prophecy, and I can't quite remember what that is right now without looking that back up. But thank you for sharing. Terry, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, I'm going to pick up on some of the stuff that you talked about earlier, Bev.
Okay.
Especially expand, because that's the nature of what creation's all about. Creator, to understand itself, expanded and created. So from the I am, which is the creation, to I am that I am, is the awareness of being created and expansion from the source I am. So the I am, or the creator, is faceless, formless, unchangeable, and guiltless. And so let me explain some of that, especially the unchangeable. Does that mean we can't change what we perceive and what we experience? No. It means that creation, as we were created, as the I am that I am, is unchangeable, as is creation, as is the creator. So, but we, being creators, can, as Bev says, what you perceive is what you believe. Through decree and belief and feelings into that, you manifest. First of all, you manifest your body, because if you are from the Creator, and the Creator's faceless, fearless, and unchangeable, so are you, because we're in the image of our Creator. But that doesn't mean that we don't create and declare things that we perceive to be. And so that's what I took on the expansion. And the real you, even though we're here in this physical world and all this appears to be real, and yes, in our dimension it is real, it is still, you're still the real you is consciousness and being conscious of being. And then once you have that, you start expanding through your decrees, your beliefs, your feelings. And those all can change in a heartbeat, depending on how you change your consciousness of being. So we are in control of that which we see around us, the people that we bring to us, and the situations we find ourselves in. So as Royse said, we all are part of the creation, and we have the power to change our world, by one belief at a time. And then when the collective hits a point, like the 100th monkey, then everybody, all the monkeys across the world started washing their food. So that's just a synopsis of what the 100-month monkey study was. So, it's hard to understand some of the concepts that we might be bringing forward. That's only because we've chosen to come into a 3D, a divided awareness. Everything here is divided. It's black or white. It's good or wrong. It's Democrat or Republic. And it's, that's what we're dealing with. And I believe, and this is my personal belief, that we need to get to the mid where none of that matters because we're not divided. We are faceless, formless, guiltless, and unchangeable, and we are all that as an essence. And once we have become aware of that, now we're conscious of being, and then we create from being conscious of being. I hope that makes sense. Again, that's my take on things, but it expands a little bit on what you ladies had said earlier, and I'll leave it at that.
Well, I think it's perfect. It all comes together. We're talking about self-expression, and we're speaking up and sharing, and what we're finding, and that is a conversation Royse and I were having before we came into the podcast, and that is we used to sit back and be quiet, and well, maybe not me as much, but anyway, it's like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. And yeah, I would have to say I held back because I didn't want to offend anybody. And can I talk, metaphysically around somebody, and they might think I'm crazy, blah, 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 blah. And, I mean, yeah, I'm respectful of other people, but at the same time, it's like, I'm not holding back anymore.
Yeah, how can people learn?
Yeah, and that is being respectful, and in circumstances, it's just not appropriate in certain circumstances or crowds to force anything on anyone. So, but this show is our show, and we've chosen. We don't always agree, but we've all agreed to have our opinions and share them openly with our listening audience. And the listening audience can, take and leave whatever suits them.
Well, we've talked about always use discernment. Yeah, if we did talk about all of this, I was told very bluntly, share it all.
Yeah.
And not hold back.
Yep.
And how can we expand without us speaking up? As we've been doing this a long time and received lots of really pertinent information that helps expansion of all of humanity and beyond. And we've worked with other beings and other star systems and all of that.
Let me share another exercise that kind of goes into this, because I think it will help if you use the exercise. It's very simple. It comes from Ho'oponopono, Hawaiian mystic school. Is basically to show that what you perceive, you believe in your world is brought to you by what you hold within. And the easiest way, two things. The easiest way to understand this is, number one, your subconscious or higher self knows all because it's part of all. It's not, caught up in the educational system and the consciousness of learning and all that. So if there's something in your world that you want changed, you're not happy with, a person you're not happy with, and you want change, you don't need to go and confront them and have, an argument or whatever. All you need to go is within, calm yourself, go within, and simply make these statements. Whatever in me is causing this circumstance, whatever it may be, you fill that in. You say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, I love you. And then let it go. And I guarantee whatever that you filled in the blank, in a matter of, depending on how much you felt in that, how much feeling, that the circumstance will change. Guaranteed every time. And the other thing is that the subconscious knows all. The second little exercise, which is kind of fun to do, is where our language comes involved. So if you've misplaced something or can't find it, the common thing we say is, if someone sees you looking around, what are you doing? Oh, I can't find my keys, or I've lost my keys. And to change the language and to decree that's not what you want to say, because you just created something and decreed something. So as you say, what are you doing? It says, and you can't find something. Say, I choose to remember where I last had my keys, or I put my shoes, or whatever you're looking for. And then don't think about it again. trust me, within 10 minutes, the actual thought of where those were will enter your mind. But if you keep thinking about it and keep thinking you can't, it won't come. It's just those two simple things so that you can experience it and explore. Just try them, on yourself. And, see what happens. And that's what I suggest you do.
Well, that's an excellent reminder, Terry. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, it makes so much sense. And it's changing the way our awareness, we're expanding our awareness. And every time that we do this, we allow it. I get that word a lot. And I use it a lot. And then I've had people use it back on me. And I realize I'm not allowing. Like, whoa. So it's really cool because I never take offense of any of that. I just laugh and thought, yep, you're right.
Why it's so good, they're both very simple, but they're experiential. So you get to experience the effect of doing it. And that's what we are in 3D here in the dichotomy. If we can't experience or prove it, we don't think it's real. Well, when you start doing this on a regular basis and your world changes because of what you just decreed, you start going, oh, guess what? What else can I decree and change in my world? Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, I've also proven that by just using my thought patterns. For instance, there was someone who was really creating a bit of havoc where I was, and so what I did, I went into another room and I thought, you know what, I'm going to try something different. I'm not going to do the reactionary thing that I was in the habit of doing. I started seeing this person relaxed and not just at ease with me, but at ease with themselves. And I just saw that until I could actually feel it. And then I went back into the room, and the person was acting so different, so nice and caring and wanting interaction and everything that I found myself thinking, who is this? But it worked so thoroughly.
And the other thing, the only other thing that could have happened on that, Royse, in the circumstance, is that the person frequency wasn't able, or your frequency weren't able to come into balance. And the only other thing would happen is that person would have left the room and not been there when you came back. Those are the only two choices.
Yeah.
It's real interesting.
Yeah. Just with the way you said that, I mean, you can look at all these situations that you don't have a match frequency, or I don't know if that's the right term, but they're on another wavelength.
Right.
words that we've used, and it's not to force them, but what you're doing is changing yourself.
No, and it's really you, because once you understand that we've created them, they're there because we have asked them to be there, and we're not happy with the circumstance. We just change it. Yep. I mean, it's pretty much that's how it is.
It sounds so simple, and it really is. Yeah.
Well, trust me. There are a lot of tools I've used. In the past couple of weeks, I've had some different things going on in anxiety, and I know the number one anxiety and fear remover is HeartMath. Boy, have I had to work on what I even knew to do, because your consciousness wants to go and take over. So it's simple, but sometimes it's not always easy. Even knowing what to do.
No, but it seems to me that it's not easy when we find ourselves getting into the habit of blending in with what's going on around us instead of being true to what's inside.
Right, absolutely. It's a lot easier to go with the flow, is what you're saying, right? Than go counter.
Well, the perceived, the flow at we talked about earlier, the guilt trips and the controls on the guilt trips, and as Miss Royse would say often, it's old. OLD. So that comes up, and she's right. It's old, and that again the old the old programs that are breaking down, and they're just.
Here's an else. If you want to get recognized, and have people have them come to their attention, go outside the mold, and there are some very good examples. And that doesn't mean that you're going to be liked, but go outside the mold and don't do what's expected of you. For example,
but you'll be
Royce
noticed.
brought up President Trump. He's definitely not following the mold. Another guy who didn't follow the mold was who was a radio host that I have his name, very controversial. Limbaugh,
Oh, right.
And he didn't want vanilla ice cream. He wanted rainbow ice cream. And so, when you go outside the difference, you stand to your rights, you're going to get noticed. Not necessarily liked, but you're going to get noticed. And so that's how you get your message out. Don't follow the path or what Royce said, with everybody else. Anyway, ladies, we've already come to 7:30, and unless there's something else that you want to pursue, I think we'll open it up. I don't think anybody's on the line with us live, but if you are, now's the time to come on and ask some questions. And if I don't hear anybody, the number you wanted earlier, Bev, is to call and leave a message and set an appointment with any one of us. Excuse me, would be 864-999-3008. And that's a 24/7 recorded. You simply would leave your name and phone number and which one of us you'd like to return your call, and we'd be happy to do that. So, Bev and Royce, do you have any last thoughts before we end it?
I don't think so. It's been a wonderful, wonderful half hour.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah, it's really nice how it all comes together.
It is.
I think we're organized.
As we've explained numerous times, we really don't know how everything's going to go. And I think we sat down and thought, okay, let's do this. This is 15 minutes before the program started. So, at least to get it started, and we know it always flows, and it does. It always flows, and it's really nice to see that. And as Terry said, we're always not going to agree with one another, but that's how we learn and expand ourselves. And that's what's happening now, expansion of our old perceived self. Does that make sense? So we're expanding into our wholeness of who we truly are. So I thank both of you, and it's been, I think, a great evening, and all of us, expand that awareness, and don't be afraid to either. A lot of people are afraid. I don't want to see myself. I don't want to see my true self, and all these other things that I've heard people say, and it's like, why not? Why don't you want to open that door? And so, we're dispelling that fear. That go ahead and do it. You face it. And it's usually nothing scary out there whatsoever. It's actually wonderful when you do that. It's like freedom, When you open that door and you can fly.
And there is one thing.
Go ahead, Royce.
There is one thing that I would like to say in honor of our friend Donna is wherever you go, there you are. Godspeed.
Very profound.
Right.
Well, ladies and audience, thank you very much for another wonderful show of Conscious Gatherers. Let me bring up my calendar here real quick. And so today is the 6th. Our next show will be October 20th, again at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. October 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And please feel free to call in. We'll put that in the description again so people can find it if they want to come in. So for another session until 2 weeks from now, good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.